cakes. They just keep ladling this syrup of positive expectations on their kids. And what psychologists have found is people rise to the expectations put on them by the people they admire. The higher up a person is in a person's idea, like a parent or an uncle or an aunt, the greater impact their expectations have. The expectations of teachers on students. If teachers treat students like they're really smart, there's years of this called the Pygmalion effect. They'll tell teachers and they'll treat this entire class like they're all Nobel Prize potential winners. And the teachers will treat this class like they're all brilliant, and these kids will just flower. It's been proven over and over again, even though they don't know the IQs. The same thing is with your kids. Same thing is with your spouse. If you're always expecting the best of your spouse, that is the most wonderful, most loving, most life-enhancing thing you can do, is to always expect the best of the members of your family, as opposed to dumping on them or getting mad at them or criticizing them and so on. And so the expectations your parents had of you, and you have to ask, what were they? Because if you're not clear about them, it's hard to free yourself of them. The second is the expectations you have of the people who look up to you. But the third is the expectations you have of yourself. And you should expect the very best of yourself. You should expect to learn something from every experience. You should expect to continue to grow. You should expect to be a big success and be happy and healthy and thin and debt-free and retire with lots of money in the bank. You should expect to learn something from everything that happens. You should just have this confident expectation. You know, W. Clement Stone had this wonderful concept where he talked about being an inverse paranoid. And an inverse paranoid, a paranoid is a person who believes that everybody's out to get him. It's a vast conspiracy. An inverse paranoid is the reverse. He believes that everything out there is part of a vast conspiracy to make you happy and successful. And so whatever happens, he would look at it and say, that's good, and I wonder what it is that I can turn to my benefit to be happy and successful. And as a result, he became one of the richest, most successful people in history, starting off as a penniless orphan boy selling papers on the streets of Chicago at the age of 12 because of this attitude. So expectations are very important. The next law is called the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction is very popular right now. I'm going to come back to it in just a second because it's very popular. All right. The law of attraction says that you are a living magnet. It says that your thoughts, and the law of attraction is tied into two or three other laws. One is called the law of vibration, which says that your thoughts vibrate at a certain level of energy, and that they attract into your life other thoughts, people, circumstances vibrating at the same level of energy. There's also another law called the law of sympathetic resonance. The law of sympathetic resonance also explains why we're here. It says that if you took two pianos on the sides of a large room and you went and you hit the note of C flat on one piano and walked across the room, the note of C flat on the other piano would be vibrating in perfect harmony with the piano that you just hit. This is why very often you'll walk into a room and you'll strike it off with the person on the other side of the room. You'll have this sympathetic resonance. You get married, settle down for the rest of your life. Have you ever had that experience? Most amazing darn thing is we will walk into a room, we'll see a person, and there will just be that we'll be vibrating exactly the same level. And it'll turn out that we're exactly the right people for each other. And we'll say it was kind of magical. And we could talk about this a lot because it's a neat thing. Also, you will have a time when you'll meet somebody and the vibrations will be bad. And later on, you find out you were right, that that's not a good situation. Well, the law of attraction says that you invariably, because of this force field of energy, like an iron magnet attracts filanes, you inevitably attract into your life people and circumstances in harmony with your dominant thoughts. But it's your dominant thoughts emotionalized. It's not just the thought itself, it's a thought charged with emotion. We say that thought has no power of itself, and emotion or energy has no direction. But a thought multiplied times an emotion equals a result. T times E equals R. Thought times emotion equals result. So if you have a very positive thought, or you have a very clear idea of financial success, multiplied by the emotion of intense desire, belief, confidence, happiness, that it's going to come true, positive expectation, it creates a result consistent with it. Laws, by the way, are like gravity. If you drop a rock, it goes boom. If you drop a glass, it shatters. Gravity is neutral. It doesn't matter what you drop. Laws have a two-edged sword. So you can have a thought that is emotionalized with a negative emotion, and you'll attract exactly that into your life. There are people who have negative thoughts and ideas about other people and other circumstances, and they continually draw negative events and circumstances into their life. We have all seen situations like this. I used to have a woman working for me who was so negative that when she went near the photocopy machine, it would quit. I know, it's true. I mean, her negative vibrations was literally, and they bring out the repair people, brand new machine, nothing wrong with it. Just keep her away from it, because she was so negative. She would drive, she bought a brand new car. She had just gotten divorced, and she was very unhappy. She had bought a brand new car. She drove it half a block down the street from the dealership, and it burst into flames and consumed itself. And they went, they tore it all apart. There was not a single thing wrong with the car, except she was driving it. Anyway. Now here's an important point, and it's a trap that you have to avoid. And we see this in America. In America, one of the greatest emotions, and it's one of the most destructive of all negative emotions, is the combination of envy and resentment. Is almost all of our laws, our tax laws, our regulation laws, almost half the political body in America is driven by envy and resentment of those who are more successful. So it's very easy for us, if you read the papers, to be envious and resent other people who are successful. Then once you start to envy them, you start to see that they're evil or they're bad or they make too much money or they're oppressing or exploiting the poor and so on and so forth. So it's very easy, if we're not careful, for us to criticize successful people. Yet when you criticize successful people, you activate another law which comes under the law of attraction, which is the opposite, which would be what? Would be the law of repulsion. And the law of repulsion says if you criticize other successful people, you create an anti-magnetic force that drives success out of your life. So one of the things I teach my kids, one of the things I teach my friends, is always admire successful people. Look up to successful people. Don't fall into the trap saying, yeah, he's successful, but he's not happy, or she's successful, but she's overweight, or he's successful, but his life sucks, he's successful, but he's, No, don't get into the trap of criticizing successful people. Admire them for their success, their hard work, their energy, their years of application, and so on, and be happy for their success. Always want for others what you want for yourself. Always want for others what you want for yourself. And when you see somebody who's worked hard and achieved success, you say, that's wonderful. Abraham Lincoln once says that some people become successful as proof that others may do it as well. And so that's the mindset of the superior person. The superior person admires successful people, and as a result, they set up this positive force field of energy that draws into their lives people, opportunity, and ideas to be successful as well. Again, America is the most successful country in the world because there's very little institutionalized class envy, except in Washington. Yeah. And in America, in most other countries where people are successful, they have to hide it. In Australia and New Zealand, they have what they call the tall poppy syndrome. If you go there for any time at all, they call it the tall poppy. People who are successful are called tall poppies, and the job of the newspapers is to cut down the tall poppies. So if you're successful, you kind of have to you have to keep your head down because it is a habit to attack successful people. Here, who's the most successful? Who's the successful American? Carlos Slim just passed him. Can you imagine that? Do you know how much stuff you have to steal in Mexico to become the richest person in the world? Unbelievable. But if you look at Bill Gates, he's our richest American, right? $54 billion. Everybody admires Bill Gates. Isn't that true? Have you ever heard anybody run him down? I mean, of our people? We don't run him. We are happy for his success because the fact that he's successful means it's possible for us as well. Now, we may not make as much money, but hey, what's 1 billion? A billion would be okay, right? A million would be okay. 1,000 would be okay for some of us. Anyway, my point is that the law of attraction is a two-edged sword, and you have to use it very carefully. And I'll come back to this in a second. The next law is called the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence says that your outer world is a mirror of your inner world, and that wherever you look, there you are. You live in a 180-degree mirror, and every part of your life reflects back to who you are. It's almost like what is inside yourself is reflected onto the screen. So you see this in your relationships. Instantaneously, when you change your thinking internally, your relationships automatically change. You see it in your health. You see it in your income. You see it in your wealth. You see it in your home, your car. Every part of your life is a reflection back to you of what is going on inside yourself. So if you're a very positive, happy, positive expectations, confident person who likes themselves and likes other people, you'll see this all around you. There's some people can walk into a room and people just feel it and they turn and smile. They're just happy that they're there. They can feel the vibration of a person who feels good about themselves. And other people can walk into a room and the lights will go out. People will immediately feel there's negative people. So the one thing that we can control is we can control what we're presenting to the world. We can control only one thing in the world, and it's our thinking. And the last law I want to share with you, and this is really important because it's almost a summary law. It's called the law of superconscious activity. And the law of superconscious activity says that any thought, plan, goal, or idea that you can hold continuously in your conscious mind must be brought into your reality by the superconscious. Now let me say this again because it is the greatest law of history. It summarizes all the great mental and spiritual principles ever discovered. Any thought, plan, goal, or idea that you can hold continuously, that's the test. Can you hold the idea in your conscious mind must be brought into your reality by your superconscious. Your superconscious will bring you ideas and insights. Your superconscious will attract people and resources. Your superconscious will solve every problem on the way to your goal. The superconscious will give you lessons that you need to achieve the goal and to hold on to the goal. Your superconscious will give you energy that drives you toward the goal. The most important thing of all is that the goal has to be clear. And this is the key. Now people say, well, how do I make all these lessons work? Well, all these laws work. Well, it's very simple. You don't need to. All you need to do is have a very clear, specific goal. If you have a very clear, specific goal that you think about most of the time, what will happen is that all the laws will begin to work. So the summary of these 7 laws, which we talked about before, is that you become what you think about most of the time. You become what you think about most of the time. And if you think about a goal that is important to you most of the time, what triggers the law of cause and effect? You think about the goal, and everything in your life, that becomes the cause of the effects of your life. What gives you a sense of control? Very clear idea of your goal. What do you believe in? That you'll ultimately achieve your goal. What do you confidently expect will happen? That you will. Everything that happens is moving you toward the goal. What do you attract into your life? People and resources in harmony with the goal. What is the law of correspondence? Your outer world mirrors back to you your goal. And by the law of superconscious activity, if you're absolutely clear about a goal and you think and talk about it all the time, everything in your world begins to work together and move you toward the goal and move the goal toward you. Now, I'm going through a lot of stuff in a short period of time, but Harv tells me you're some of the smartest people in America. Is that true? Did anybody not understand that? So I'm going to give you a very simple exercise, which I've given to you before. Before the end of the day, I want you to take a clean sheet of paper like this and write down 10 goals. That's all right. 10 goals that you'd like to accomplish in the next year. And just write down 10. And discipline yourself to write 10. And don't stop writing until you come down to 10. House, home, car, money, health, weight loss, whatever it likes, write down 10. Then you look at this goal and you imagine that you could wave a magic wand and you could have any one goal on this list within 24 hours. And whatever it is, you put a circle around that goal. You put a circle around that goal. And this becomes your major definite purpose. This becomes your primary organizing principle. This is what you think and talk about all the time. This becomes the goal that you focus on every single day. And every morning when you get up, you think about that goal. And all day long, you think about the goal. And as you think about this goal, more and more of your subconscious and superconscious powers are assigned to help achieve this goal. As you think about the goal, you start to get more ideas and insights that move you toward the goal. And more people and resources will come out of the woodwork to help you to achieve the goal. And as you think about the goal, you'll become more positive, you'll become more powerful, you'll have a greater sense of control, and you'll start to feel, slowly at first, you'll feel yourself moving toward the goal, and the goal starts to move toward you. And you start to see things you hadn't seen before. You start to attract people and ideas you hadn't seen before. You start to have insights you hadn't had before. And the critical test, all that is required of you is for you to think continuously about the one goal, the goal that can have the greatest positive impact on your life. And you think about it all the time. And you talk about it all the time. And the only question you ask is how? How am I going to achieve that goal? Say it, say how. From now on, whenever you decided on a major goal, the only question is how. Not whether, not I wish, not I hope, not I'll give it my best shot, I'll see what happens, wah, 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 before I go to the island for the weekend. What you do is you say no. The only question is how. Because every time you ask the question how, it's like stepping on the accelerator of your own imagination and you trigger ideas. How? And the ideas, every idea is for an action that you can take. And it's an action that you can take to move towards your goal. And every time you take that action, you move faster towards your goal. And we say that God answers prayer in the form of ideas for actions that you can take. And if you take action over and over again, what do you develop? You develop the habit of taking action all the time. And the faster you move towards your goal, the faster the goal moves towards you. My friend Mark says it really well. He said, whatever you want wants you. Isn't that right, Mark? It's a great line. Whatever you want wants you. And if you're absolutely clear about it, the test is can you think about it most of the time. And if you'll do that, what will happen is you'll have a tremendous sense of control. You will align all the powerful mental laws like a harmonic convergence of planets, and every single power you have will be unleashed and move you toward that goal and move the goal toward you. Well, geez, the timing is great here. Now, I told you I'd say something about the law of attraction. So I'll just tell you this, and this is my conclusion, what I consider to be the real secret of success. And I've run this past a lot of people here and a lot of successful people, and they primarily agree. I believe that the law of attraction is necessary but not sufficient. In other words, it is a necessary part of success because it's a powerful law, but it is not enough in itself. Are you with me so far? So I was in Korea recently, and I began talking about this, which what triggered the idea. I said, you know, when I left Los Angeles and wheels came up, the pilot came on and said, we'll be landing in Seoul at 5 minutes after 5 tomorrow afternoon. And then I was surprised to learn that for the entire flight, the plane was off course. The plane was off course 99% of the time. It was continually off course. So what are all the avionics in the plane? What are the pilot, co-pilot, and engineer? What are they there for? To get the plane back on course. Because the plane is off course with wind shear and clouds and movement of the earth and gravitational forces and so on. Every plane is off course 99% of the time. Your life is off course 99% of the time. That's the way the world works. So here is the great secret of success. It's in 3 things. Number 1, be absolutely crystal clear about what you want as a goal. Write it down and make it measurable. Don't have wishes and hopes and fantasies and dreams and everything else. A goal that is not in writing is not a goal at all. It's what I call a cigarette smoke goal. You just blow it, it has no effect. But a goal that is in writing becomes something you can touch, taste, feel, fold, read, work on, and so on. So number 1 key to success is to have a very clear goal that you want to accomplish. Number 2 is take off. And this is the most important thing of all. That's what our Harv teaches you. That's what everybody here teaches you, is take off. In avionics, they have an expression called wheels up. They say the plane does not officially exist as a flight until wheels are up. At that point, it fits into the computer, the flight plans, and everything else. The most important thing you do in the world is you take the first step. You take the first step, and in taking the first step, as we said before, a leap of faith, but in taking the first step, suddenly everything starts to happen for you. You start to get feedback from your environment. You start to get ideas and input. You start to change course and so on. And the third key to success is keep making course corrections until you achieve your destination. Resolve in advance before you even start off that you will never quit. What I found is if you resolve in advance that this is my goal, this goal will change my life more than anything else, and by gum, I will never quit until I achieve that goal, you become a totally different person. The world is full of weak people who will try once or twice and then quit, but strong people never quit. Famous story, by the way, Federal Express, $60 billion company. Federal Express went through hell to get to the point where they were almost bankrupt. They could not make payroll. And Fred Smith, they finally told him, it's too late. We've done everything. We've borrowed every penny. We've exhausted every line of credit. We're finished. We can't make payroll. We have to shut the company down. Do you know what Fred Smith did? He took the last $25,000 that was in the company coffers. He translated it into cash. He caught the night flight to Las Vegas, and he sat at the card tables, and he played until he had enough money to make payroll. And he took a taxi back to the airport and went back and made payroll by the end of the month. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having the guts to do that, go all in with everything? That's the kind of person that never thinks about quitting. The reason you are great is because you never think about quitting. Isn't that right? Now, I have to tell you a quick story. Our biggest enemy of success in life, our biggest enemy is the path of least resistance. It's the tendency to do what is fun and easy rather than what is hard and necessary. So the story, Ole and Sven, they're up in Minnesota. They shoot a deer, and they're dragging the deer back to the truck by the tail, and they keep slipping and losing their grip and losing their balance. And a farmer comes along and says, boys, what are you doing? He says, well, you're dragging the deer back to the truck. He said, well, boys, you're not supposed to drag a deer by the tail. It's a very clumsy way to drag the deer. You're supposed to drag a deer by the handles that God has provided. They're called antlers. You're supposed to drag a deer by the antlers. They said, well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, sir. So they went around. They started dragging deer by the antlers. After 5 minutes, they're whipping along. Ole says to Sven, he said, the farmer was right. It'd go a lot easier by the antlers. He said, yeah, Ole, but we're getting further and further from the truck. And if you didn't understand that, someone will explain it to you later. The world is full of people who are dragging the easy way, but they're getting further and further from the truck of their own ambitions. They're not doing what is hard and disciplined and necessary. They're doing what is fun and easy, and they're going to have fun until their daddy takes their T-bird away. Now, let me just summarize by saying this. My time is up. By saying this, that we're living at the very best time in all of human history. And you are the very best people living at the very best time in the very best country in all of human history. And of everything that's been accomplished in the last 200 years of America, what's going to be accomplished in the years ahead will be greater than that. We're hockey sticking as an economy, and we're into basically the great wave of success. As Michael told you, more people will start more businesses and become millionaires in the years ahead than in all of history. And your job is to be at the front of the line. Your job is to take full advantage of this wonderful country that is available to us. So here are the three things. The real secret of success. Number one, decide exactly what you want, set it as a goal, write it down, make a plan to accomplish it. Number two, take action on that goal and take action every day. And number three, keep making course corrections until you achieve the goal. And never give up. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for Brian Tracy.